Welcome to Art Look Learn. I am so excited to show you how to create easy watercolor holly leaves. Let's jump right into our tutorial. Start by drawing in your sprig of holly. This is the stem. Make sure your pencil lines are very light so that they won't show up underneath your watercolor paint. I'm making mine a little bit darker than I would otherwise so that they can show up on the camera. Just adding the little lobes on each leaf. Now holly leaves are actually kind of irregular. They don't have a set number of lobes that they always have, unlike some leaves. So they can have 3 or 4 or basically any number of little spiny points. And so it's okay if they're a little bit irregular, or if one side has an extra point that the other side doesn't have. Just going to add in a few little round berries clustered at the center, and then a few more peeking out from behind this leaf. All right, now I'm erasing my guidelines that I drew down the center and any other lines that are overlapping that I don't need. And do just remember, keep your pencil lines really light. Now I'm going to start with one leaf at a time. I'm using a wet on wet technique. So I am painting in one leaf just with clear water. I don't want to have too much water, but just enough to kind of dampen the paper. Now I'm going to add a little bit of cerulean blue. Clean out my brush again and then add in some yellow. I'm using cad yellow, but you can use whatever you've got. I'm just drawing a kind of an indication of the stem and then maybe a few highlights on the leaf. I'm slowly building up the color layer by layer. So I get lots of variety of color and a really nice kind of loose mottled effect on the leaf. I'm also going to make sure to leave a few little highlights on the leaves. Those will be white. They'll kind of indicate a shine or highlight on the leaf. So this green color, I'm using a viridian green and it's mixed with a little bit of yellow as well as just a teeny dab of red. Now I'm going in with that same viridian green mixed with a teeny dab of red, and it's without the yellow, so it's just a little bit darker. So now you can kind of see this leaf starting to come together now with dark areas and light areas and a big variety of color. Hitting the edges of the leaf with just a little bit of the dab of the darker green. And I also want to make sure on the side of that center yellow, the stem yellow, to put a little bit of a darker green kind of right next to it. That'll give it a little bit of variation between the colors, so you can really start to tell the difference in the surface. Now I'm going in with a little bit of Prussian blue to just make a little bit of low light color there coming through and blend it out a little bit. Oops, I went outside my line, just picking up that color, kind of lifting it off with some clean water. Now I'm going to repeat that same process with the rest of the leaves. So one leaf at a time, paint it in with clean water. Add a few little dabs of cerulean blue, kind of in random areas. Now adding some yellow add in the stem area, make it kind of irregular, and then a few other little highlight areas. And some of that light green again. Just a nice, really earthy green, but still nice and bright and cheerful. In a few areas, making sure to leave that little white highlight in a couple of places. Loading up my brush with some Viridian green, again mixed with just a teeny dab of red. For those darker greens. And make sure to add a little patch of darker green to one side of that center line. It helps make that center stand out a little bit more and helps sculpt out the shape of the surface of the leaf. And again, lastly, a little bit of blue, Prussian blue or other dark blue. Just for a few little low light areas. Then I'm gonna blend that out. And now I'm just gonna repeat that process for the rest of the leaves. And you can see when the paint is dried that the colors dry a little bit lighter and they really kind of mellow out a little bit. Now I'm going to paint the stem. I'm using a yellow ochre on the top part of the stem. And on the bottom, I'm going to use a burnt umber. That just kind of indicates that light is hitting one side of the stem. And when it dries, it'll blend together a little bit more. And hitting the stem of each leaf with a little bit of that brown as well. And then a few little nodules or texture on the stem. Now I'm going to switch paintbrushes to a smaller brush so I can get a little bit more detail in these berries. Using my yellow, I'm going to draw an O shape on each berry, leaving the middle white. That's going to be the highlight on the berry. Now, using red, I'm just going to go around the outside of that yellow shape and add the red. And if they're not perfect, don't worry. Berries are never perfect in nature. And lastly, I'm going to go in with a little bit of this crimson color. And just dab a little bit of the crimson around on one side of each berry. This just gives it a little bit more color variation and a little bit more depth. Thanks for watching, and check back soon for more online art tutorials.